Hi there, welcome to another episode of How to Attract an Audience for Your Blog or Website. Today we'll dive into SEO, that's search engine optimization, and that's the marketing techniques that help you rank high in Google and other search engines. So it's super important, the most important thing to build an audience long term. For a quick start, just refer to my first episode, Facebook ads. That's a quick way to grow an audience, but not the long-term version. But if you just want to start building an audience right now, that's the way to go. So just check out that other video. But long-term, you definitely need to rank in Google, ideally on page 1, ideally high on page 1, and that takes time to build up. So it's important to start right away. Don't put it off and think, oh, I'll do this in a few months. No, start now. It's not difficult to do the most basic things, and it will go a long way to establish trust with Google, which is really what this is all about. Alrighty, so how does Google determine rank? It's a complex subject, and Google doesn't exactly tell us. That's the whole point. But this is what the most successful SEOs on the planet found to be working. The people that rank number 1 for super competitive niches and terms. And while there are occasionally updates and changes, these basics usually remain the same, so it's important to know them. First of all, it's important to understand that Google is a bot. Yes, that's right. There are no people at Google headquarters checking every single site and deciding who's relevant. That would be humanly impossible and probably also not objective and fair all the time. Instead, Google employs little bots, online robots, if you will, that constantly crawl the internet and every site on there to see what the site is about and how relevant it is. And also checks on updates and all of that. So it regularly crawls your site. So you need to get it indexed. That's something we will talk later. But that's a very, very important thing to understand. You're not trying to convince people who read your and understand your articles. You're sending signals in your website, in your blogs, and various other things that a bot can understand. So what are the signals a Google bot is looking for? How to build trust or authority, as it's often called. You might have heard page authority or domain authority. We'll get to that later. But that's what you basically need to build up. You need to convince Google that your site is relevant and that it should rank you high, and obviously that takes time to build. So there's 3 areas basically: on page, off page, and social signals. On page is everything that happens on your website. That is the structure of your site, how you interlink, what pages you have. Is there a clear structure that the bot can read, that's logical? How do you structure your articles? There is actually a right way to write it. There's certain rules on how to make it clear to the bot what your article is about and why and where it should rank you. The second is off page. That is backlinks. You might have heard of that. Link juice. That's simply other sites linking to you. That is what a backlink is. And the number and power of those backlinks determines your ranking. It's one of the most important factors. By number, I should have to qualify, it depends on the quality of the site. If the New York Times links to you, that is super high authority. It doesn't get much better than that. If your friend who just started a website, as nice as your friend is, but if it's a brand new site, it will not have much weight with Google. It's still good to have it, don't get me wrong, but it's a huge difference in authority building. I guess that makes sense. Also, if you're a local business, you need to be listed in Google Business, you need to have reviews, citations. There's a bunch of things you can do there to greatly increase your ranking that a lot of people don't do. And so there's a little science to that. And the third one, that is more recent, but that has also really become important with Google, are social signals. So likes, shares, retweets, embeds, and so forth. Quite simply, and frankly it's logical, because if someone has great content and people really like it, in this day and age, they will share it on social media. That's just the way the world works these days, and Google knows that. So if you have all the other stuff but no social signals, that looks suspect. So you need to have all 3, and all of them together determine where Google will rank you. Now, like I said, a new site will need some time to prove itself to Google, because Google's first priority is to send relevant content to its readers. It's not about you or your site. Google tries to bring the best, most relevant content to its readers that is available on the net right now. Sounds scary? Well, Actually, it isn't quite as bad, even if you're new, because remember, we're dealing with a bot, not a human being. And the vast majority of website owners and bloggers do not know how to apply those principles. Unless you're in a very competitive niche, there are certain niches where there are a lot of knowledgeable people, but in most niches that's not the case. So if you even learn the basics and apply them from the very beginning and put a little bit of effort in, it's not a lot, you're way ahead of the game, and over time, within the next couple of months, you will start ranking and you will see your site move up. So that's really huge, and that's why it's so important to start at right now, because you're losing time. That's also another reason why you shouldn't waste any time on free sites like Blogger or Blogspot, because a lot of the SEO techniques do not work with these sites. So you're wasting precious time. Starting your site on these pages, and then you move over to paid hosting and have to do it all over again. So if you haven't set that up, if you don't have hosting yet, there's a link in the description with one of the top rated hosting services, a super big discount. In Motion, just click on there and get yourself started. It takes 5 minutes to set it up, and then you're ready to roll. Don't delay this, because it costs you time that you will regret later in Google ranking. All right? So in the next video, we'll focus on on-page optimization, but there are two things you can do right now, and that are very, very important. Without those two factors, Google will ignore you, and they're very clear about that. They openly said that. There's a lot of things Google doesn't share with us. It doesn't tell us how they rank, but these are two things they said very clearly, and one is site speed, how quickly your site loads, and the other is mobile friendly. Now, site speed. I'm sure you've gone to sites and it takes forever for a page to load. That is super frustrating, and Google knows that. So if your site is slow, it will ignore your site. To test your site, you simply Google page speed inside. So you go to that link, it's also in the description, and put your URL in, and then you will get something like this. You see desktop and mobile. And ideally it should be green. Yellow is okay-ish, but definitely not red as the first one was. And then it also gives you a bunch of explanations here of what you can do. It looks very confusing. It sometimes is, especially if you're new. So what I would do, and frankly, I don't have time to do all of this. Even if I know how to do it, I don't want to spend the time to do it. There are people who do this really well. I know one guy, his link is in the description if you want to use him. Costs, I think, $20 or $23 or something, like super cheap, really. And he gets it done for you. He's very quick, usually in a day or two, and he also helps you afterwards if there's any issues. So that's what I personally would do, but feel free if you want to learn it yourself. That's awesome. The next area is mobile friendly, and there too, Google has a little test you can do. Just put it in there and see what comes up. This is my site, Sassy Zen Girl. It's awesome. It's mobile friendly. That's awesome. It even shows you below, actually not here, but usually shows you below what it looks like. If it's not, you're really in trouble. You really need to change the theme that you're using. Most themes these days are mobile friendly or responsive, mobile responsive as it's called. And it's super important. Google made an official announcement in April 2015 that any site that is not mobile friendly will be basically dropped. So no one can find it. It's like on page 1,000 or something. You really need it mobile friendly. Also for another reason, because 70% of people today surf the net on their mobile devices, on their cell phone, their iPads or whatever. Only 30% use a desktop. So in your own best interest, your site needs to look great on your mobile. So you should always check whatever updates you do, check it on your mobile, what it looks like, and otherwise get a professional web designer to help you with that if you have a problem. But most of all, you need to have a theme that is mobile responsive, and that's usually all you need to do. Alrighty? If you still need more help to start a blog or website and you don't have this book, this is a little guide that helps quickly and efficiently. Has helped several thousand people by now to get their blog started. So that's a simple book. The link is in the description. Amazon Kindle book. It's also available on paperback. So thanks very much, and I'll see you in the next episode.